Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast, adding games both new and old to your backlog, one slightly inappropriate episode at a time. My name is Bobby, and the Bobby of Christ compels you. Joining me today is Taylor.
I am hoping some of my jokes land.
Nice. And Amanda.
And I'm coming to you on your favorite network, not local, but global.
All right. I feel like these quips don't make sense until later in the episode. So mine was an inside joke that nobody's going to get because it happened at DLGcon. And if you don't know what that is a get-together we have once a year with people from the community. Everybody's invited. We pick a place in the U.S. We all go there. We hang out. We play a bunch of board games, and we have a great time. This year it was in Wisconsin. And it was last weekend, and that's why you had a rerun episode. And it was a heck of a time.
That's right. A lot of nuts and inside jokes and Bobbies of Christ.
Yeah, so get ready to be on the outside with all those jokes. But this week, on this episode, we got a special episode. We're going to be talking about LANs and LAN parties. Gaming in person. So let's move into our first section as soon as I find the bumper. There it is. All right. So Taylor, what is a LAN?
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, what is a LAN? As we all know, it's an initialism that stands for local area network. And I've got a question for you, Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
Can you LAN at a con?
Hi there, Taylor. Yes. I just feel like it's a fun play on of like a news network, but instead of a local area network, even though they're very different things. I feel like you can LAN at a con. I was at PAX this year and they were having straight up like a LAN. There was quite a few LANs of different kinds of games. I know that one of the big ones, I think I did see like a Warcraft LAN. There was a LAN for... I'm probably going to butcher the game. I know it was not Elite Dangerous, but it was some sort of game where you are like you have different roles on a spaceship and you have to work together to just fly a spaceship through space, and that's it, and fight each other.
Like Pulsar?
It's not Pulsar. Yep, I was just going to say that it was not Pulsar, but it was a true LAN in the sense that everybody was on computers connecting. I know that at PAX they always have this kind of like bring your own PC thing, and people LAN there as well. So I think that like when it's organized as a LAN at a con, then you can do it. But I think if you just went to like a con, like say DLGcon, and you LAN together, it looks a little different. There's less Ethernet cables and a lot more Steam Decks or Nintendo Switches. And so previously over all the years, I think that this is the 7th one we've had in person, but the 8th one that we've done. And most of the ones in person, I feel like it's a gray area if we were to call it a LAN, because we'll do like Jackbox games, or again, like everybody kind of has their Nintendo Switch. This past year in Wisconsin, we had a few people, I believe Warconius and Lotion, that played Risk of Rain 2 on Steam Deck and played with each other. So I guess that's kind of my question for you guys is, does a LAN have to have Ethernet cords? Do you have to physically connect to each other, or can you sit with each other playing the same game, join in, and is that a LAN?
I think it depends on how many people you have, right? Because, I mean, let's face it, if you were... So my big LAN experience was QuakeCon, and there's no way you can have all those people on Wi-Fi. If it's just 2 people on that Wisconsin internet, then yeah, you can get away with it. But I think when you start getting lots and lots of people, then it becomes a bit of a problem. But the Steam Deck, there were a lot of Steam Decks at DLGcon. Mm-hmm. Like those, it kind of reinforced my, or brought back my urge to buy one of those.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking here, like, yeah, in my mind, LAN does include an Ethernet cable or FireWire cable. Like, connecting physically into routers, connecting a bunch of PCs together. And I think Bobby brings up a good point in terms of like how many people counts. Like 2 people, is that a LAN, or is that just a co-op session with your friend?
Yeah, I don't know if 2 people count as a LAN party. That's a pretty sad LAN party.
Yeah. I also don't think that like 2 people count as it, but I think like 5 or more, you start to get into the LAN world. And I think with this day and age, like in the past and how we've all grown up, of course, like the cable was an important part of the LAN. You're literally like creating the local area network by plugging into each other. But I think that in this day and age, like a LAN has kind of morphed to a lot of things. I think back to when I played a lot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare with a laptop, and I was with 6 people in the same room while they were smoking brisket. Like, and that's a LAN party to me, but none of us were physically plugged into each other. On the same sort of vein of that, it's kind of like, do you have to all be playing in the same instance of a game, or can you all be playing the same game? Because with that same group of 6, I was on a laptop and we were all playing Cyberpunk 2077 together, but not actually together in the game. Is that a LAN?
I don't know. I would say no, because, well, people are going to disagree with me on this, but I'm going to say no. To me, that feels like you're sitting in bed with your significant other and you're both on your phones doing your own thing, right? Like there's a separation there. You know, you are all playing the same game, but you're having different experiences that are independent of each other. So I don't know. That stretches it for me.
I think that's fair. Well, then, Bobby, I got a good question for you then. What is essential for a good LAN party?
Ooh, deodorant.
Please.
For a good LAN party, you've got to have good internet, right? You've got to have... You got to have some Bawls guarana or something. Do they even make that anymore? Do you guys remember?
Man. You don't remember Bawls?
Oh, man.
The drink?
Wait, is it like the energy alcoholic drink?
No.
So it was like an energy drink before energy drinks, like back in like maybe not the Jolt Cola days, but shortly after that. So that was like the LAN drink that everybody would get, was Bawls.
It
and
came
I don't know if
these blue glass bottles that were like ribbed or like had little dots on them.
For your pleasure.
Yeah.
For your LAN pleasure.
And that was a time period too when there was like all sorts of gaming fuel of various types before energy drinks were big. Like I remember getting a sample in an episode, or not an episode, but one of my PC Gamer magazine subscriptions. They often came, with like demo discs and various little bits and free gifts. And one time I got a gaming energy mint, like a caffeinated mint that you were supposed to take to increase focus while gaming.
Oh, wow.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, a lot of ridiculous stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I guess you have to have some sort of caffeine there. You got to have good internet. You got to have power, and you got to have the space, I guess, depending on how big it's going to be. That's really like, people do this at their houses sometimes. I've had a few LAN experiences. We'll talk about those later, but having the space is a little tricky, I find. But I don't know. That might just be my situation. I don't know. Am I missing anything? Any essentials?
I think, what you've got to have, aside from what you said, is a good attitude. I mean, it's a party, right? But also the willingness to get a little bit rowdy or like a little bit confrontational.
I don't know if I agree with that.
You need the right energy is what I'm trying to say.
You do need the right energy, the right mindset. I think I would also add on here, it might be a hot take, I think you have to add some binge watching of that 70s show or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's just to break it up. At least some of the lands that I went to and participated in, like when I land Age of Empires 2 and RuneScape, that was always a great time to break it up by watching an episode or two at the end of the night, mostly while eating. So you wouldn't get food all over the PCs and everything. You just watch that, So I'd recommend that as well as an important, essential thing for a good LAN. Something to kind of distract you so that way then when you come back, you're more focused.
You also got to have headphones. If you're the guy that shows up with like your Harman Kardon little like PC speakers at the LAN, you're an asshole. Don't do it.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's talk about LANs then and now, because a lot has changed. And I guess the big question is, are LANs still even a thing? Because they were pretty popular back in the day amongst PC gamers. But to be honest, like I don't really see them that much anymore. I don't see number one internet cafes as much as I used to in the United States. I know they're still very popular in Korea with the PC bongs, or is that how you pronounce it?
Bong.
Well, yeah. So I don't know if they have been replaced by tabletop games. They have for me. Any social gathering with my gamer friends usually involves some sort of tabletop gaming instead of a LAN. I don't know. What do you think? Are LANs still a thing?
I don't see advertisements for them as much as I used to. Back when I was in the Air Force, and even in high school, people would put up flyers advertising LANs, like, we're hosting a LAN, come, next weekend or whatever. I don't think people put flyers up much anymore in the first place, but I really haven't seen them advertise like they used to be, aside from things like QuakeCon, events like QuakeCon.
Yeah, it really did used to be a subculture of PC gaming, I think, and I don't know if it's really there anymore. And I think that's because of a lot of reasons, probably mostly due to the ease of playing online. It's very easy to play with other people online, co-op versus whatever. Like grouping up with other people, like that's all part of just about any game out there now. Also, communications are much easier now as well. Like we have Discord. Before Discord, we had other things too. They weren't like as great, but I feel like we've all kind of adjusted to, especially after COVID, to like interacting with people through our computers, and socializing with people through our computers. So I think in a way, people are just a lot more comfortable playing video games at their computer with other people who are at their computers, and they don't feel the need necessarily to come together and group up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to see gaming cafes make a comeback, though. That would be so cool. Where I grew up out in like the farmlands of middle of nowhere, Michigan, it was like my one friend in high school started a gaming cafe. I think it was called Into the Abyss or Abyss Gaming. And it was like the one gaming cafe that was in like a 60-mile radius. So like people from all over the place in that area would come there because that was the only kind of way that they could game and connect with each other. And he had all the nicest stuff. And then it was so awesome having a friend like that, because then when he closed shop, we all would hang out and LAN Call of Duty 4, or my entire experiences with Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 were actually LANing consoles and playing them with people physically right there, which was so much fun. I would love to bring that back, but I agree with you. I think because of the ease of connecting to people online, and that more and more people, especially after COVID, are becoming more introverted and like maybe a little more antisocial, or maybe money. I mean, it's definitely going to be cheaper to just stay at home than to go anywhere. So yeah, it's a shame. I think LAN is a kind of a dying thing, in my opinion.
Well, let's face it too. I mean, a LAN is difficult. Like the biggest problem is moving your stuff to and from a location. You have to bring like an entire setup, your computer, which computers are very heavy these days, your big monitor, keyboard, mouse pad, whatever peripherals you need. You need to bring that, you need to disconnect it from your setup at home, bring it all the way over to another location, set it up there. I mean, you could do this with a laptop or even a Steam Deck now is possible. So there's easier ways of doing it, but traditionally it's been very difficult to like set up a LAN. So when you do, you kind of set up shop and you leave it there for a while.
I feel like it's a hot take, but dude, I don't know. The towers from the 90s were like fucking bricks.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and
the
we did it
monitors?
then. Yeah.
And all
and
around a CRT. Ugh.
And we did
yeah.
it then. I brought in my entire setup down backcountry roads and played a mini game of avoid the potholes so I don't blow my GPU. And like, I feel like you can still do that. But you're right. I think people have gotten very accustomed to, I set up shop, it never moves. Now my computer and everything is very stationary. But I'd like to remind everybody that, yeah, back in the day, people did that all the time and we could do it again and people can do it. You know, it's just, you're right. Like we've gotten comfortable to not doing it.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. My computer is incredibly heavy. Like that thing weighs a lot. But there also are a lot more small form factor options these days too. I remember back in the day, like wanting to build a rig specifically for LAN parties. And there were very few options out there. I think Thermaltake had some small form factor, but there really wasn't a whole lot of options out there, especially for small cases that would hold big video cards that were good for gaming, and could adequately cool them as well. So I think there are a lot more options, but I just don't know if anyone is really interested in doing it these days.
I think in addition to the points that you guys have already raised, then, there's even services these days like Parsec for games that do require a local area connection to connect with each other instead of over the internet. So you can set up a virtual LAN really easily now, and even play local co-op games over the internet with services like that. So there's less of or I guess there's more options to accomplish the same thing, but I'm wondering about, this loss of the in-person social element and how you guys feel about that. I mean, we've already spoken on post-COVID life, having changed a lot of attitudes towards in-person events and how comfortable people are with being quote unquote alone while not alone. But I personally do miss that environment. It's the same with going to game stores when I played Warhammer tabletop or Magic the Gathering for Friday Night Magic, like that in-person element that I think is missing in so much of daily life. And maybe not to be cast judgment or anything, but I think the typical PC gamer tends to be a bit more of an introverted type in general, and so it maybe has less of that in their life.
Yeah. I just think it's changed. It was probably 3 or 4 years ago even when I was over at a buddy's house while there was 6 of us playing Modern Warfare and Tarkov, and there were 6 PCs set up. So it felt like a true LAN. Nobody took an Ethernet cord and was connected to each other, of course. We were using Wi-Fi. Some people were hardwired actually into the router, but for the most part, everybody was there together. And it was the closest thing in my recent years that felt like an actual traditional LAN party, because everybody was there. Everybody was hanging out. But somebody would be like, hey, do you need a beer? I'll go grab you a beer. And right there. And then physically, and then we're playing Call of Duty or or Tarkov, and you could still hear somebody screaming like "fuck" in the other room, and it was it helps, and it made it still feel that way. But I think at the core of it, LAN has truly just changed. It's not going to be the same kind of like what Bobby and you have mentioned earlier, especially when it comes to there's not really any more of a need of local area network anymore. Everything is the internet is better now. Power is better. Like everything's kind of more streamlined. Same with communication. So it's kind of like because that need isn't forced in a way, it's going to look different, right? But I still think that we can achieve this kind of feeling of being in-person LAN. It just takes a little bit more effort because being an adult sucks. So.
It does become more difficult when you're an adult because you have other responsibilities and you're a lot more limited on time. So, that's what's so nice when we all get together for DLGcon. Like everybody's there, you're stuck there, you're not going anywhere. So you really can't. It's a lot easier to avoid distractions. There is, we've talked a lot about the internet cafes and LANs, and I feel like those are two very different things too. So, it's a lot of the things that we say about LANs probably don't apply to the internet cafes. Yeah. One thing, there was one across the street from me when I was much younger and I lived in a different place, but it was a computer repair shop that also had an internet cafe, and they were always packed, and it was just always people playing Dota. This is before Dota 2, but everybody was just playing Dota all the time. Maybe some Counter-Strike here and there. But one thing that I've found in my experiences with these internet cafes is it didn't feel comfortable. And I've had the same experience when I've played on other people's PCs. It just... The DPI on the mouse is different. The keyboard feels different. The chair feels different. The monitor looks different. Like it was very difficult for me to game because it just felt very foreign to me. And that's kind of why I never really, I mean, if you spend a lot of time at an internet cafe, yeah, sure, you're going to adapt to it and grow accustomed to it. But for me, it wasn't an enjoyable experience at all.
Yeah, I guess these days it'd be kind of like having to use someone else's phone. All the apps are in different spots.
True.
I agree with you. I mean, some of my earliest experiences gaming with other people were at, technically it was a tabletop gaming store for Warhammer and chainmail and stuff like that. But they had about 12 PCs set up, LAN together, and people played Counter-Strike and Dota and whatever. And my father took me there. While he would play his Warhammer 40K, I would go back and play on the PCs and get to play with other people when previously it was really just me at home. But it did feel different. And every time since then, like when I lived in Vietnam, there's still definitely a PC cafe culture there. And I went to quite a few while I was living there. And yeah, I don't know. It's just there is that just kind of strange feeling of it's not mine, and I'm not as I can't feel as comfortable. I'm always a little on edge.
Yeah, and that's something that's specific to PC gaming, because when you play on a console, the controllers are pretty much always the same. I mean, you can get some custom controllers that are a little different. Most people don't. But for the most part, if you go and play an Xbox at your house or an Xbox at someone else's house, it's going to be the same. But yeah, let's segue into our next part here and just talk about our actual experiences at LANs. And surprisingly, I don't have very many experiences with LANs, but I do have 3 very distinct experiences that I can talk about. So for a while, I would go over to my brother's house, and my brother and I and my brother-in-law, we would all sit at the table and we'd play World of Warcraft. And I'd bring my laptop so it was easy to transport. We'd hook up the power and we'd have a good time doing that. So that's like your real small LAN, right? You and just a couple of buddies. But then in 2016, for the first time, I went to QuakeCon, which has always been a dream of mine. I mean, I've known about QuakeCon since I was, since my early years of gaming, and it always just seemed like this incredible experience, but so far away. One of the listeners of the show invited me and said, hey, you can stay at my house. You can bring my gaming laptop. Like, just made it a really great experience for me. And it was great. And QuakeCon, if you've never been, they have a very small exhibit area compared to most conventions, and then a huge LAN. I'm talking massive. I've never seen anything so big. I've got pictures that maybe I'll post them on Discord. And the year I went, it was right after Harambe, so everybody had the Harambe memes out, and people set up camp. Like, they literally decorate. There were shrines to Harambe. They were like these giant constructions of empty energy drink cans, and people kind of live there. It's kind of like what you would see homeless people do in the inner city, man. Like, they set up shop in here and they just game and game and game. And it was like a car show because you can walk around and look at everybody's rig. And, a lot of people just have a normal gaming rig, bunch of RGB, whatever. But then you got some people that just have something totally off the wall. I would love to go back one day and just shoot that, just film it. Do some quick interviews, tell us about your rig, that kind of thing. I think that'd be a great little piece that I could work on if I had the time. But I will tell you one thing about that experience that I learned, and they warn you about this ahead of time. Download your games before you go, because once you get there, the bandwidth is very limited. So you don't want to be downloading 100 gig game at QuakeCon.
Yeah. Quick question. How many people would you say, or just estimate, were there in that big hall? I went to QuakeCon once as well. And at least the year I went, it was this massive portion of the convention center. This big hall was filled with the tables and people set up.
I couldn't even tell you a number. I have no idea, but I just remember it being, I probably spent 2 hours doing a lap and looking at everybody's rigs, and I didn't even see all of them. That was just kind of going around the perimeter.
Honestly, both times that I've been at PAX, it's been very similar too, of just being so many people that are using and bringing their own PC for a heavy LAN and everything.
Okay. Your mic got real loud there all of a sudden.
Yikes.
Maybe you got switched to a webcam or something there. Apologies to our listeners if you got some feedback.
Okay. So I had the very small experience with my brother and brother-in-law. Then I had the very large experience with QuakeCon. But then I also had one that was in the middle. And if you've listened to the podcast long enough, you will have heard the episode where I talked about QuakeCon, or you could even go back and listen to it now. It's somewhere back there. And you will also hear the episode maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, where I went to somebody's house, some person in San Diego, just some guy that was advertising a LAN party at his house. He had it all set up. So I was like, yeah, I'll go check this out. Cool. And I went there, and there were a bunch of other people like me who just kind of heard about this, heard about it being advertised, and just showed up. And this guy had his garage all decked out with computers and had a bunch of games installed, and we all just hung out, ordered pizza, and played games. And it was awesome, but it was really awkward because these were strangers. Every single one of them was a stranger, not only to me, but to everyone else. So everybody was really just kind of a little awkward and not super comfortable. It was a strange experience, but I'm glad I did it. So
yeah, What an interesting thing. That I think for me would be a goal of mine. Like if I were to become independently wealthy and had the ability to, purchase like 20 gaming rigs and have a property with a garage big enough to set that up. Hosting something like that, I think would be a lot of fun, but I could definitely see that awkwardness too.
Yeah. Like just doing a LAN party with complete strangers. Yeah. It's as awkward as
Is it something you would do again? If do you think?
I don't know if I'd do it again. Although, when I was younger and I was living in an apartment that wasn't very big, in my bedroom, I set up 3 PCs all along the wall. It was almost like having a mini LAN. So friends would come over and I'd be like, yeah, man, hop on a computer. Let's play some, at the time it was like, Half-Life 2 Deathmatch or something, or, I think Day of Defeat Source. We played some of that. My buddy would come over and we do arena. We do WoW arenas. But it was kind of nice just having that set up at home. So when people were over, and I was always having people over back in the day, so I'd just be like, yeah, come check it out. Let's play some games. And I don't know if that's something I would do now, but because I don't have a lot of people over, but back then it was great. So what are your guys' LAN experiences?
Well, I've touched a little bit on like mine with the backroads of Age of Empires, which is the audio still crazy? Or is it a little better?
There's kind of a high pitch.
Yeah, there's squeal. A whine, like a little bit of a.
But I don't know if it's not showing up in Audacity. Don't worry about it.
No,
it could just be technical things on Riverside for us.
That's true. Riverside's being a little weird, but Audacity looks good, so it's clear. So moving forward,
a little peek behind the curtain.
Get a little snapshot. The first time that I can remember truly landing is a toss up between sitting with I want to say 6 of my friends playing Age of Empires 2 way out in the countryside, which was a lot of fun. But I really spent a lot of time landing playing RuneScape or Guild Wars. I would play with my cousin, or I would play with a really good friend from back home. And back home being in the middle of nowhere, Michigan. And so growing up, we would always play RuneScape and then stay up till 4 or 5 in the morning, and then at the end watch that 70s show or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So that's why I keep mentioning that. But it was so much fun. I really feel like some of my favorite times landing though really have been at an internet or an internet cafe. But that's also a little different because I think my friend and our group of friends played after hours. So it was kind of like we had a great place to LAN, but it was being hosted by our friend. And so he had a lot of really amazing setups, both with PC. He had 9 brand new PCs at the time with top of the line everything. So we would play a ton of Call of Duty 4. And then we would play a lot of Left 4 Dead. And then eventually when Left 4 Dead 2 came out, we played that as well. But then he also got a projector, and we would play a ton of Rock Band as well. And so it's kind of is Rock Band a LAN? I feel like it kind of is, especially in that kind of setting where you're all playing with each other and taking turns, so that way then everybody gets to play and be a part of the band. Loved that though. It was so much fun. I used to work at Dairy Queen, and I would bring Coney dogs and blizzards and bring them there as my entry ticket to play games for 4 hours nonstop with my friends. And then I'd always end up buying a blue Monster anyway. That was my drink of choice when I was growing up. But some of my more ridiculous ones really have been with the Texans while they're smoking brisket and everybody's just getting completely lit playing Tarkov and Call of Duty with each other physically in the same space. So I don't know. I feel like I've done a lot of LANs for RuneScape, Guild Wars, Rock Band / Guitar Hero, that as well. And then Call of Duty for sure is the biggest one. But what about you, Taylor?
Well, I was just gonna say, it sounds to me like that experience you're talking about is less the PC gaming or cafe experience and more going to a friend's house. It just happened that
10,000%.
Not at a house.
Yeah, because we would, a lot of us would show up before closing, and the vibe was completely different. It was filled with a bunch of kids and like parents. There would usually be like a mom hovering, watching her kid play, and it felt very like awkward and uncomfortable, what you guys said. And then it was like, once the doors closed and he kicked them out, we were all like, yeah, buddy, it's time to play. And then it felt like a real LAN, but it was hosted at a place that actually could like handle that. Although I will say, the backcountry road trips to playing Age of Empires on like a somebody's mom's dining table fit for 8 people was still really cool and really a fun experience. And I'm very thankful and lucky that none of those potholes on the way there destroyed my PC. I got very lucky for that.
Well, so for me, my first experience doing LAN would be back in the back when I used to live in Washington State. I was probably about 7 years old, maybe. Yeah, I would say 7. And I managed to talk my parents into letting me take my rig, my computer and monitor and everything over to my friend's house. This friend, his dad was a cool dad. He didn't care about, the age ratings on games, that kind of thing. He had a ton of PC games that he would let us, use. And so, yeah, I managed to, like, over the course of probably about a week, talk my parents into, like, yes, I'm responsible enough to take my computer over to my friend's house and not break it. And we had, at the time, there was 2 other friends at our school that also had computers. Like everyone else, was on Nintendo or PlayStation. So that was probably my first experience. We played Unreal Tournament and Quake, which I was not allowed to play at home. So that there's definitely that element of getting away with something that really improved the experience. And after a while, we got bored of just playing only having 4 people playing Unreal Tournament is not the greatest, especially if one of you is much better than the rest. So we got bored of playing the competitive shooters and swapped over to Warcraft that his dad had on floppy disks, and he made us all copies of Warcraft on floppy to take home, which that was so cool. So
That's cool.
yeah, that was my first experience, and I didn't break anything. My parents let me do it a couple more times, so that was a lot of fun. But continuing with the theme of like school friends, I had a bad experience once. Going over to my buddy's house, and by this point I was in high school, and we were super into Warcraft 3 custom games at the time, particularly one called X Hero Siege. And at the time, we would get on Skype or TeamSpeak or whatever it was that we were using at the time, and we would voice chat with each other while independently playing X Hero Siege together. And we desperately wanted to actually be able to sit down and play it with each other. And at this point, I had more friends that were computer owners. So we got a decent sized group of us together, went over to his house. But I did not have a computer to bring with me that time. So we had to use his dad's work laptop. Like, we asked his dad, "Hey, can we use your work laptop to play Warcraft 3 on?" it's not a big deal, blah, blah, blah. What we didn't know at the time, we were still naive. We didn't know that you couldn't just take an Ethernet cable and plug it into one computer and into the other computer and have them be connected. You needed like a FireWire or something like that, or, connect into a router. And so like we were getting frustrated it wasn't working. So we went online to forums trying to figure it out. And there were people talking about setting up virtual LAN over Wi-Fi or something. But you had to go through settings and change a bunch of stuff. Long story short, I managed to entirely fuck his dad's work laptop up. Like deleted his user account, edited the registry. It was inoperable to the point he had to mail it into his IT department. And so, yeah, my friend's dad was pissed.
I bet.
So pissed. I was not allowed over for like a month because he was like, I don't want to look at you.
Wow, that's rough.
Yeah, so it wasn't always fun and games. And then the one time I did go to like a convention, it wasn't as big as QuakeCon. It was more like a local local convention, much smaller, maybe like 50, 60 people. I brought my rig in and I got seated in between these two big sweaty guys who needed deodorant, like Bobby said before.
It's essential.
Yep. Ended up getting into an argument with the guy next to me about he was being way too loud. He kept like screaming when he would die. Like, just, he was raging and just yelling at the top of his lungs. And after a certain point, I had enough. And I'm not very confrontational. And at the time, I was much younger and less confident. And it took quite a bit to get me to the point of like being angry enough with someone to confront them. And we ended up getting into a shouting match. And the other guy next to me ended up backing me up. And then I forget which game we were playing. It might have been one of the Call of Duties, but it was a like team deathmatch FPS. And this guy that I got into the argument with was on the other team, and I ended up killing him like 15 times, and it was so satisfying.
Wow. Yeah, I was surprised when I went to QuakeCon that everybody got along so well, because I was having a tough time wrapping my head around the idea that people would bring all their stuff, set it out on a table, play video games, and then they'd get up and go to the bathroom or get something to eat and just leave it there on the table for a long period of time. And I'm like, I kept asking the person I was going with, like, don't you ever worry that someone's just going to take your stuff? And he was like, no. And as soon as I got there, I realized, okay, yeah, I kind of see that. I mean, I still was a little worried about it, but I kind of got the vibe that like nobody would do that here. Like it's very unlikely that would happen. But I don't know. I guess it's still possible.
And these days, they probably actually do have some sort of enforcers. I mean, I obviously can't speak for QuakeCon, but when I saw the bring your own PC area that they had at PAX where people were having a massive LAN, they did have enforcers standing around kind of watching over everyone as well, too. But good. The vibe was very like everybody was chill, but there's still like that force kind of watching.
It only takes one person to take advantage of that situation. And you can lock your PC up too. So they did have these, I can't remember the name of the devices. They have a name like where you get that, like, it's like a bike lock basically that you can chain your PC. It's got like every laptop has one of those built in. But anyway, let's check in with our community right after this bumper. All right. So, of course, we always want to shout out our executive producer, Truthbringer, bringing it every week. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. But we also want to give a quick shout out to Scram from Texas, who could not make it to DLGcon. We missed you there, but keep an eye on your mailbox, because you should be seeing something coming in the mail pretty soon here. Not going to say what it is, though. All right.
That's right.
We love you, Scram.
We love you, Scram. And thank you very much, Truthbringer.
Yep. Let's not forget about Truthbringer. All right. We asked our community about their LAN experiences, and we got a few responses here. Amanda, did you want to read these?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So starting them off, the Livingston has kind of said, actually, after reading so much of what the community is saying, it seems like the Livingston should have been on this episode to talk about LANs, because he said that his group of friends have been doing LAN parties since about 2000, and it's how he got into PC gaming and part of what has caused him to want to be building PCs. And so the early LAN parties that they did a lot of Age of Empires 2. I see a lot of people are big fans of that. Same with Counter-Strike and a little bit of some StarCraft as well. On average, they were having about 8 to 16 people, but they had up to 25 at the largest. That's the biggest damn LAN I've heard of from any of us playing. But he said that they still have them yearly until they started having kids, but once in a while they managed to sneak one in, and they did this summer. They snuck one in. So they were playing some things like Giants, Citizen Kabuto, Unreal Tournament, Warcraft 3 Tower Defense, Pontago, Far Cry, Golf ? DEF CON, Super Tux Kart. They played a little bit of Dark and Darker, or whatever was kind of the other one that's pretty much the exact same. Not sure. So they started at people's houses, but they've had them in churches and community centers, and they even once played in a data center. Sounds awesome, actually. Yeah. And so, contrary to, I believe, what Taylor said, which was essential for a LAN, the Livingston's like, headphones? Fucking no. We're going to use our speakers, our shitty speakers, too, so we can yell at each other. So that sounds like such a blast. Like, I wish my LAN experiences were like yours, Livingston. That's awesome.
Yeah, 25 years. Also, the idea of doing it in church, I love it.
I think that's hilarious. The Bobby of Christ certainly will compel you to connect to that router and blow their broadband for sure.
So he posted a picture as well, too. So if you want to see that, head on down to our Discord, dlgaming.net. Out of this whole post that he put, the one thing that I zeroed in on was Giants Citizen Kabuto, because that game, I didn't realize anybody knew what that game was except me. I got that game for free when I bought a video card. I think I got that and Deus Ex, like the original one, like 25 years ago when I bought a video card. And that seems like such an odd game to play at a LAN party. I mean, that just seems like such an obscure game in general, but wow. Okay.
I think it's pretty funny. And I also think he touched on something else that I didn't quite mention at first that kind of zeroes in on what we were talking about, essential for a LAN. It seems like a running theme for a LAN is that everybody gets pizza. I get it. It's cheap. It's easy. Usually can get delivered at your front door, so you don't even have to leave your keyboard. You can just like fold it up like a boat and shove it in and keep gaming. So I feel like pizza is the way to go, and that's what he was saying, that they would normally order pizza or go to a buffet. And I think going to a buffet would be a sick way to do a LAN, actually, that you all go to a buffet together. Idea. It's a really good idea.
Pizza, like when you deal with large groups, pizza is just so easy because you can just ballpark it and, you know, everybody eats whatever's available, and it's not like you have to get everybody's order. But the problem we've ran into, and we've experienced this with DLGcon, is some people don't like pizza or don't.
It's me. My body. I love pizza, but my body hates it, and I think I can speak for most people when I say that cauliflower crust and gluten-free crust kind of suck. It's sad when you've had pizza growing up and you've done pizza for LAN parties, and then all of a sudden your body goes, "No, I don't think we're going to digest that anymore." But I agree. It's so nice of the ease of access with that. Yeah. But moving along with some more of our community members' experiences with LAN, Burn Division said that in the mid to late 90s, a local BBS set up a LAN party at a secondhand music store. And so the store was owned by a user. I'm going to sound real dumb. Do you guys know what a BBS is? Because I don't.
Is that a bulletin board system? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm guessing that's what it is.
those were early ways of communicating online.
Yeah, that's like in the early
like
days
through a
of the
terminal.
internet. Yeah, that's how people communicated, like a forum, sort of.
Yeah, yeah. Before forums, you would
Gotcha.
use BBS.
Like a AOL chat room. Got it. So, but no, not quite. But anyway, so a bulletin system. Later, he got into his own IT consulting business, the store that was owned by a user on it. That's kind of the context. But he said that the PCs were mostly DOS and that they played a lot of Doom and Quake, and that the BBS was known for users playing those kind of deathmatch games like Warcraft 2 as well. Warconius. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think Warcraft 3 seems to be a very popular LAN game. Yeah, I can understand why.
Warcraft and StarCraft, I feel like would
RTS
be
in general.
Yeah. Yep.
I was just gonna say, Burn Division's experience is like so showing his age. Talking about network cards with BNC connectors, using BBSs. All the PCs were running DOS. I love it.
Yeah, like OG LAN
he's an OG.
One of the first, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, speaking of RTSs, Warconius was saying that he has a lot of great memories with LAN gaming. They did mostly Warcraft and StarCraft, CNC, and Age of Empires. So the RTS games were really, really fun in large groups. They'd also play Duke Nukem 3D deathmatch games, and his specialty was setting up trip mines around corners near all the health packs. What a tricky trickster. So he's actually got a question for us, which we should answer. So he was saying, if you were to organize a LAN party today and you had to pick 4 games, one of them has to be an RTS, one has to be an FPS, and one has to be a co-op shooter, and then one is a wild card, whatever game you want to play for the LAN. So which 4 games would you pick? Bobby, you first.
Oh, boy. All right. So there's a lot of genres going on there. So the co-op shooter, I recommended this game to someone in Discord recently. I'm going to have to go with a 4-player co-op shooter called Gunfire Reborn. I feel like that would be a lot of fun on a LAN or at a LAN party. An FPS, got to go with Team Fortress 2, classic. And an RTS, I love Command and Conquer. I think you can I think they have options. I know they do. I remember playing that on like IPX LAN, but I don't know if the remastered edition has that. I'm sure they do. Yeah, Command and Conquer. Okay. And then the last one can be any genre. What would be a good game for a LAN party? Tabletop Simulator, that's a cheat. I know.
I thought you were going to say Deep Rock Galactic. That way you can yell at each other in person.
Yeah. I mean, that game's just good anytime.
That's true. What about you, Taylor?
All right. All mine are going to be older games. RTS would be Dawn of War 1. Just a great RTS game. They had plenty of great maps for any group size. And I just love that game. I used to be in a clan back in the day. FPS game, Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. One of my favorites, class-based shooter. So you can like use the opportunity of being in person at the LAN to communicate and really kind of it's also objective based. So I feel like that in-person LAN environment would make it even more fun than it already is. Co-op shooter, that is a tough one. I'm trying to think of a co-op shooter game that is even like large enough of a like can fit enough players, but because like Left 4 Dead's kind of only like 4. So for me, it's I'm gonna kind of cheat and say Risk of Rain 2. It's not
players?
really a shooter, but you can mod Risk of Rain 2 to like enable up to like 32. It totally breaks the game, but I think that would be a lot of fun together. And then one of any genre, tough call. My initial feeling is going to be leaning towards, well, I wanted to take the easy way out and say tabletop simulator, but Bobby already stole it. So I'm going to go ahead and go for one of those golf games. Golf with your friends or one of those.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Nice.
Amanda?
For me, I would, if I were to organize a LAN party today, I would probably choose Civ 7 for the RTS. FPS would probably...
That's not an RTS. Just isn't.
I'm still gonna say
It's
Civ
not real
7.
time.
Yeah, but I don't care. I'm gonna cheat a little.
Okay.
I'm gonna cheat a little. That's the first thing that popped in my head when I thought about strategy. I was like, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I would
I'm
want
just
to
heading
play.
off
Civ
the
7.
listeners who are gonna write in and be like,
Yeah, they're gonna be like, she doesn't. She's not a real
That's a
fucking
4X
gamer.
game.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. You guys got to cheat with yours. There's my cheat. Is
All
it the
right.
RTS? So, first-person shooter, I would probably either be a toss. Well, no, I'd want to go with Battlefield 6. That's coming out. Because it's like a week and then it comes out. And then co-op shooter, I would throw it old school and do like Halo 2. So that's what came into my head. Yeah. And then any genre, I would probably pick Ark Survival Evolved, and Bobby would probably sit down and go nope and then leave. But I would love that. I would love the crafting survival for a LAN party. I think that would mesh actually really
How
well.
far into Ark could you possibly get in one LAN party sitting?
Probably not far, but we would build a beautiful little like community together. Yeah.
And memories.
Yeah,
That's what counts.
exactly. Warconius also says a special shout out for all of those that organized and attended DLGcon, that he thought it was a beautiful location, a very chill group, and the perfect time spent just recharging the batteries and playing some awesome board games, because we took tabletop simulator and put it into real life. No simulation needed.
Yep. It was a
Thank
lot
you,
of fun.
Warconius.
Yeah, thank you, Warco.
All right. Taylor, why don't you hit him with the plug?
Yeah, so I just wanted to point out a section of our community that hasn't seen a lot of engagement, and maybe it's because a lot of people don't know about it yet. But we have a community art and screenshot section. It's on our Discord. You can get there at dealgaming.net. And you could also, if you are creating art of any kind, you can send those to us in any way. It doesn't have to be Discord, but we do specifically have a section on there. Take a look at October's spooky theme and share your own scary screenshots. And I just wanted to also throw a question to the community out there. Let us know what you think of our recent themed episodes. We've had a couple recently. Do you like them? Do you want more of them? Less of them? Let us know. And our next themed episode coming up is going to be called I'm Scared on November 9th. So look forward to that.
Awesome.
Spooky.
All right. Again, my name is Bobby, and joining me today was Amanda and Taylor. Thanks for stopping by. Be sure to tune in next week, because I'm going to be talking about Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, which just hit 1.0. I've been hooked on this game and playing it nonstop. The late game is incredible. Can't wait to talk about it next week. Playing us out this week is a song about DLGcon. This is made by Warconius, and it's going to be filled with a bunch of inside jokes that you're probably not going to get, but that's okay. It's kind of your fault for not showing up.
Facts.
bright. DLGcon's calling, it's a gamer's night. Joystick heroes with hearts of steel. Cheese curds flying, that's a power meal. Lunch at dinner, time's gone weird. Fish fries flowing, the crowd just cheered. The waitress winked, yeah, I lost my trust when she whispered softly, 3 nut or bust. Whoa, we're living that DLG dream. Arcade thunder, 8-bit screams. Crickets, my love, in the neon dust. Body of Christ, yeah, bless this bust. Whoa, can't stop the rush. We're DLG forever, 3 nut or bust. Cheese curfew in the flashing haze. We've been button mashing for 3 straight days. Leaderboards climb, but my heart's in flames. Every pixel sings her name. Lunch at dinner, can't tell when. Fish fries flowing, our souls again. Raise your curds, yeah, we must. To the holy code of 3 nut or bust. Whoa, we're living that DLG dream. Arcade thunder, 8-bit screams. Crickets, my love, in the neon dust. Body of Christ, yeah, bless this bust. Whoa, can't stop the rush. We're DLG forever, 3 nut or bust. Whoa, under that pixel moon, we'll respawn soon, we'll respawn soon. DLG hearts and joystick trust. Forever we ride, 3 nut or bust. Soon, DLG hearts and joystick trust.